That's the way it's set. You know, in a background, generally, I've been elected president of the Dodge Place Association. I'm here tonight. Dawn's the treasurer. She gets the bills, Dawn Hubner, she gets the bills. And in October, the October bill, she noticed, you know, that the bill was high. And part of the reason was, you know, the rates have been going up, as we know, as everybody knows, that, you know, the bonds that are due for the sewer treatment plant and everything, town has to pay those. So in addition to the high water usage, you know, the bills have kind of doubled, you know, for us. So she noticed in October, you know, because we have condo fees that pay for these things. So she brought it to our attention, as we discussed condo fees, sometime after we got that notice. We got a high bill in October, and then we got a notice from the water department in December of some high usage. And that was sent out to everybody, you know. I suggest we just all need to check our, you know, to see what's going on. And I've been monitoring the use. Two of the units, we found some, you know, some leaks in the, you know, in the toilet flappers. In other words, sometimes you can't hear it, but there's water leaks by, not, you know.
Those units were occupied that had
Yes.
the leaks?
Yes, so we contacted Public Works, and they came out and run some tests. This was kind of after we had the, you know, the flappers adjusted and fixed. And since then, the rate, you know, the usage has gone back down. But during the period from sometime in, I think it was probably in July maybe, to sometime in January, there was some leaks in these toilets. And we're just here tonight. I know, you know, this isn't a problem, a town problem. This was more of our problem here. But since, you know, what we've got combined with a high user rate and a excessive use rate, we thought we'd appeal. We we want to make an appeal to the commission and to the town for consideration in an abatement format. You know, in consideration, one of the things, like I said, is there's 4 units there, so we have 1 meter, and we're on a higher tier, so we're paying a premium already, and you know, we kind of got the notice, you know, 2 months after we got the high bill, which is no, you know, we appreciated the notice because we all needed to be aware of it. But, you know, the time it took us to react to it and replace the, you know, fix the problem, you know, we've already, you know, our bills have doubled kind of from $1,000 to $2,000 in those 2 billing cycles. So we understand that you know, that there's limitations on what you'd consider, but we just wanted to come in and talk to you and see if you know, that you'd consider an abatement for our use.
So you think it was in July? Because according to what we've seen, the high usage was more in the fall, like a November, beginning the middle of November.
Yeah, the first high bill we had was the October billing. The July 2019 billing was about $1,000. And the next billing, October, was $1,900. And the January billing was $2,200. And the leak, based on they gave us I don't know if you got this board, but you could see it.
Yeah, we have.
Got that. So it seemed like it happened sometime between the July billing and the October billing.
Well, unfortunately, there are 2 issues. One is our policy that we've worked on for decades, worked under for decades, and we, basically says that if the problem is from the meter in to the user, that system is their responsibility. And for years, it was just, that was the cutoff. We instituted last year the possibility of, in fairly egregious situations, that you could, get like a one-time abatement of $500, max at $500. Even if it, by the rule of the policy, was still your responsibility and not the town's, which appears to be the case here. I mean, it wasn't even a case of the units being vacant,
Right,
which, if somebody leaves something on, there's, that's an accident. But in a case where, they're not paying attention. Now, in this case, it's quite a bit of money. I don't know, I mean, we've been fairly conciliatory lately, but the bottom line is that the system is your responsibility. And the fact that the rates are higher now and, it's not really germane to the conversation.
yeah, I was a little confused on that, because clearly if it was from the street to the meter or something, or
No, it's
or
from
was
the
a
meter-
town,
from
was a
the
town
meter-
issue, that wouldn't be our responsibility at all, so we wouldn't be talking about an
Right.
abatement, we wouldn't, we just wouldn't be responsible for that, so we're just asking for the abatement. We recognize the problem of the leakage is on our end, but,
And
it
you
seems
said-
like the whole purpose of it, in the, everything's gone up, but,
Well,
and I guess maybe, the Public Works is not obligated to notify us of a high usage. But they did, and we appreciate that, but
yeah,
and
that
we
policy
reacted to
was
it.
implemented
And
last
we
year as
reacted
well.
to it, but I guess it came,
You did say that everything has been repaired?
yes,
And it does look like the usage has gone back down to a historically average level.
yeah, it looks like, most of this was happening between between November and, December. So, I understand that there's limitations, but again, I was a little fuzzy on the purpose of the abatement. It seems like, that you have provided, at least I was led to believe that you would entertain,
Well, we'll certainly entertain it.
yep, appreciate that.
I have a question on we have a note that there was also a leaky outdoor faucet. Somewhere there was,
Yeah.
leaking outside faucet.
Is that something that you're aware of?
I guess I'm not aware of that, I didn't get the copy of that, maybe Holly or someone. There's 4 units, so when he came, I let him in, he went through my unit, and then he went through the other ones after
That might have been carried over from another report.
It might have been,
Because
because
they're
there's
handwritten.
nothing anywhere,
Yeah, their handwritten thing, they don't mention.
They don't mention
I
it
know there
there.
was a repair,
Okay, so that wasn't there.
outdoor faucet last year.
Oh,
I don't know if that was, yeah, Scott, yeah.
Well, maybe that was mentioned to the technician who went out there, and that sort of got carried.
Yeah, there was some
Carried.
plumbing replaced in the basement. Maybe, I don't know if that
but
was
not,
no.
not since November. It was before
Well, it was
November.
before then, yes.
Looking at the records, it looks like it started around the 3rd week of November and stopped around the 2nd week of December.
Right, those are the
Right.
records that we have.
Yes, that's what I have, yeah.
Our problem is this, that, again, if the units were vacant, or if it was an outside hose, you know, we could abate the sewer portion, for instance, or, you know, again, if somebody's not there and can check it, you know, that would be an accidental discharge. But in this case, where there's someone who was actually there, you know, it would set a really bad precedent, I think, on our part to abate this, because then we might as well just, everybody who has a high water bill, we would just abate it.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
that's
No,
not really
that's-
fair.
I
Is that-
understand.
I mean, is that,
I agree.
That makes sense.
it's a hard decision. Nobody likes a high bill, but it was done on your watch, not on ours, type of thing, so. Any other?
No, I just want to comment, I was trying to find him some help. If it was an outdoor faucet
I know,
that
I
was
wanted there to
leaking,
be
we
an
could do
outdoor
something
faucet.
about it. But if it's toilets, there's not much we can do.
It's the hose, though.
It doesn't look like that's what caused.
No.
So according
It
to,
doesn't, I don't think.
It
that's-
was just, like you said, just a leftover, somebody did some cut and paste and
Yeah.
didn't cut it properly or something.
Well, they certainly got our attention anyways, I guess.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, hopefully, send out a notice to the residents and make
Yeah.
sure that they're, you know, aware of that. And since it's only
So-
4 units, it might be worthwhile trying to, if the plumbing costs wouldn't be that high, you know, at least look into separating
Separating
out
Yeah.
the
because of the
meter.
tiers.
Yeah.
I don't know what
And that's-
tier you're at.
And, you know, I didn't think of that until I was looking at the tier usage when I'm here, but, you know, there is 4 units.
Yeah, I'm looking
And
at
the only thing
it,
that's separating us on the bill is because it's 1 meter. you know?
right, but you're still in the first tier, according to this
okay.
bill.
Yeah, this bill says tier 1.
Yeah.
All right,
we
so
are.
you're good,
Okay,
so you're good.
sorry, all right, so that's no better. I thought it was up to so many gallons.
Do you know what the
It is
cutoff
up to
is?
so many, let me see,
20, or
21,000.
21,000
And it,
gallons.
and it doesn't kick, higher tiers don't kick in until,
Let's see, quarterly.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Well,
that.
50,000 was our bill.
Yeah, but maybe it's not above that.
We're, we're in this, you know, you're billing us on the second, it looks like our usage was 50,000 and that's a tier 2.
this one, looking at does,
Yeah.
Then this is above that.
wait a minute,
Interesting.
where's the usage? This shows usage of,
My guess is that they already did you a
17,000.
favor by billing you
Oh.
at tier 1,
Yeah.
even though.
Well, let's not talk about that any
Right.
further then, okay?
I think what they did is your average usage was tier 1 and has been.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so they continued that
Okay.
billing
Yeah.
even though you
That-
used into the tier 2.
Yeah, that's what I
So,
was thinking, and I didn't want
So
to.
they could have
Indirectly-
sent me a notice saying that, you know.
Indirectly, you're already
We're
getting.
raising your rate, yeah.
I am,
All right.
I am going to move to deny the abatement request at 176 Front Street.
I'll second
In
that.
accordance with the policy. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks for coming in. Sorry.
Thanks for hearing us, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
You too.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Which one would you like to do next?
I am going to find out. What? 163 Water Street, so we're going in reverse order. Yeah, are you Anthony? I am. Excellent, so why don't we? So this is Mr. Calandrello from 163 Water Street. This is the Vino Vivo Restaurant.
Correct.
Just looking at our notes, there's a data download. It said you used 11,000 gallons in one day,
Actually, in one 12-hour period.
and that your hot water heater's pressure relief valve had opened and was not discovered until the next day, so it was overnight?
We didn't discover what the problem was really until I had the plumber come in and I told him what the symptoms were, and he said, well, it sounds like the pressure relief valve must have opened up, and it's due to variations of pressure, water pressure in the building, and the solution is to put an expansion tank on there, which is what we did. So just a little bit about the timing. I got the high usage notice December 24th. I wasn't around to receive it because we were closed for that week. The actual high usage occurred on November 23rd, which I got my days wrong. The date is right, it's the 23rd. The high water usage was from the hour ending, or however, the interval is ending 55 minutes after midnight through till 13:55. So that's a time when there's typically nobody there, so we're not washing dishes or doing anything, because staff doesn't show up until around 2 p.m. or so. And apparently, that relief valve must have opened up that night because we used, in that 12-hour period, 11,397 gallons when we, in the day before, we used 9.5 gallons. So I think clearly that relief valve opened and stayed open.
Sure.
And we just didn't have anybody there to see that. So I got the high water usage notice. When I got back.
So was it leaking somewhere?
It's a new water heater. It's only 1.5 years old. They put a relief valve on the top, and so that normally shouldn't open unless there's some high pressure from overheating or something.
Where does it vent to? The
It
relief
just goes
valve?
right to the floor.
To the floor? So is
Yeah.
there water on the floor? Did you have water damage?
Well, there must have been. It was a lot of water. 10,000 or 11,000 gallons is a lot of water. But that section of the floor is open right to the sub-basement.
Oh,
So it probably just went right down into the dirt. And we've got a sump pump that we installed there. So it probably just went into the sump pump.
and that sump pump discharges where?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Is it- The good question is.
It's not
does
a
it
dirt,
dis-
it's not a dirt floor?
It is a dirt floor.
It is
yeah.
a dirt floor.
Yeah.
But there's a sump pump as well.
Yes.
Okay. But as far as you know, it doesn't discharge to the sewer.
I don't believe so. I mean, I
wouldn't think
I
it
didn't
would.
put-
I wouldn't think you would discharge it
Right.
to the sewer. Probably
I
goes
don't
to
know
the
that
river.
that's legal.
Yeah, I don't know if it is either.
Well, it's been there forever then.
Well, right,
But-
right, then it's.
But that's a
good, yeah.
relatively new restaurant.
it is, yeah.
So-
I mean, obviously.
The building,
So as
been there
part of the
since
building permit, they probably would have taken apart that,
Yeah,
that
right,
discharge to the
yeah.
sewer, would be my guess. And there's drainage in that area.
And so on the 17th of January, I had the plumber come in, and after sitting down with Public Works to say, does this seem right? Could you have a meter problem? I said, no, the meters are good, so.
So
then
I'm
I-
still trying to so you have a hot water heater,
Yep,
and the water goes in and gets heated up.
Mhm.
And so water just kept pumping in? I mean,
there's an overpressure relief valve.
but if you're not using the water, it should just be a static situation.
Correct, and
Yeah.
and unless there was a pressure.
Pressure
this is what the
surge.
the plumbers
Hammer.
explained to me, is you could get a pressure surge in the building somehow, and I don't know how that happens. But he said obviously you must have had a pressure surge in the building that opened up, lifted that high-pressure relief valve or pressure relief valve, and it stayed open for some reason, either because the pressure remained high or
The valve got,
sediment got in it, or I don't know. I don't know how it could stay open, but it evidently must have stayed open.
So not only did you lose all that water, it was hot water, probably.
Well, it was probably trying to heat it up.
For trying
I mean, I don't
to
think
be,
it could
trying to
heat
be hot
Could
water.
do-
Probably
It's
didn't have-
staying on the whole time. anyway.
900 gallons a minute, I don't think it can come anywhere near heating it up. But we probably have a hell of an electric bill for that period.
So did the folks at did they come out to your site?
They did not.
And who did you speak with at Public Works?
I spoke with the clerk there, I can't remember.
Desiree
I think
or
it was.
Shirley?
I think it might have been Desiree, I don't recall.
I'm wondering if, I mean, they didn't indicate, because you talk about a pressure surge. I mean, a pressure surge would sort of connote a system issue, because, I mean, how would you
Right.
have a pressure surge just in the plumbing in the building if there's no pump or anything? But they didn't, I mean, my gut tells me that it was just a faulty valve or something on the
It,
hot
it
water.
could very well have been.
Did they replace the whole hot water heater or just
No,
the
they
valve?
replaced the pressure relief valve. I think they replaced, or they just put an expansion tank on it. Let me see what the bill says. It says install relief valve and expansion tank, so they must have replaced the relief valve as well.
Okay.
Probably stuck open.
Well, what we can do, I think, is, again, we can't really abate the water portion of the bill because there was a problem with your part of the system. However, it does not appear that it went into the sewer, so I think we can, I think we can feel pretty good about abating the sewer portion of your bill up to the, I'm trying to read here really quickly, so that would be the 171.95.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that there was a possibility to get an abatement if you had a one-time event that was, kind of beyond your control. And that's the reason why I filed the abatement request.
Well, the beyond our control, there's two ways to look at that. One is, you're ultimately responsible for, however, if you're not there, you're away on vacation or something like that, then, that's sort of the one-time get out of jail free part of it.
Well,
In this case, you were closed for the holidays. How did you discover the leak from the notification from Public Works? Or so it was that way, it's not that you went there and found water all over the floor?
No, it was, I got the high water usage notice, and then I got the bill and saw that our normal water usage on the bill for that quarter was like 5,000 gallons per month, and then for December it was 15,000 gallons. I had the high water usage notice from Water and Sewer Department, which is actually really remarkably good, and it just showed this spike. If you look at the spike on November
Right.
23rd, it just sticks out. I mean, everything else is low with a few gallons a day, and
Abate the whole thing,
I am too.
277.
I mean, it was not
It
there.
wasn't there. Is that,
Yeah.
somebody want to make that motion?
I make the motion that we abate the entire excess from the amount of $277.69.
So what we do is we abate the amount over your average, your typical average use, which would be $277.69.
I appreciate that very much.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor of abating $277.69 from Mr. Calandrello's bill, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You'll see that abatement probably on your next bill.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay,
Who's next?
so what is your name?
Rachel Trabelsi, 12 Highland.
12 Highland, okay. Do you, well, let's give us a chance here really quickly to review where you are. So the issue with the irrigation system, what was the timing on that?
As when,
If you could, I'm sorry, just, so that was late summer?
yeah, it was like a 2-week period. And what happened is, the valve, it's an irrigation system that I installed for, I had a small business for growing herbs, things like that. And then, the business no longer actually exists, but the irrigation system, the valve piece broke off, so it was like free-flowing water that you couldn't see it.
Right.
And then, I went to South Dakota to take care of my father, and the letter came from the city, And I didn't get the letter until I got home. And so it'd been free flowing for like, I guess like 2 weeks. And, then I went and, just shut off the valve from the house. But, yeah,
But so that part of a business wasn't there, but the outside irrigation was still operable.
yeah,
Were you aware of that?
that the irrigation worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, I could use it to water things
Sure.
if I had it, but the business, I think it's 2018 was the last time. I had it for like a year, and it didn't, produce anything.
Okay.
And I'm in like a bit of a precarious situation because Riyadh Trabelsi has abandoned, our family in the house and moved to California. And he's supposed to be like paying bills or being there, and he's not for the last year.
Who is that now?
The,
Riyadh?
yeah,
Is that?
soon
is
to be
he-
my ex-husband,
Got
been
it.
in a divorce for a while.
Okay.
So he's not in the state, and
So he's,
he's like ordered by the court to pay, utilities, but he hasn't, he's pretty much abandoned the whole New Hampshire thing. So I don't have like the ability to pay the bill. Oh, and I live by the aquifer, I think, like the hospital's here. I think most of the water probably went back into it, because it's just it was just like leaking outside.
right.
I'd like to make a motion that we just debate our maximum on this one, which is $500. It's the most we
Yeah,
can
we do have a $500 maximum, which I think we would be happy to. I will second that. We'll be happy to, but that, by
there any way-
policy, that's our maximum.
Is there any way I can like, I don't know, I can't like pay it's like,
I would say talk to the billing department, and I'm sure that they could set up a program with you.
over a year or something?
I mean, I can't speak for them, but I know they have for special situations. I don't think that would be a problem. And
Okay.
if it is, send an email back through the system, and I'll make sure that we speak on your behalf.
Okay, thank you.
To do that,
I really
but,
appreciate it.
I have another suggestion as well.
Sure.
You should go and see the administrative assistant here, and talk to her about possible options that are available to you.
You mean downstairs where I pay the water bill?
No, up here,
Okay.
Pam
Pam.
McElroy?
Say again?
McElroy, sorry.
McElroy?
It's-
McElroy.
It's the town manager's assistant, right?
So it's
Yes.
up the stairs here in the corner.
Town
Okay.
manager's
Just ask for
office.
Pam.
Okay, great.
Do it tomorrow. She administers some funds, or helps administer funds that can help in a situation like this.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
All those in favor of abating the $500 maximum for 12 Highland, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So you'll get that on your next bill, and as Molly suggested, talk to her. Thank you. Hey, how you doing?
Good, whenever you're ready.
So where are you from?
2426 Water Street.
Oh,
I'm sorry, what was it again?
2426 Water Street.
You're Denise?
Yes.
Okay.
wow, okay.
So it says here that they believe a leak occurred on the property and has been repaired. Is there anything more definitive than that?
No, I thought I put the reason, well, we found the leak, we know, so I got the notice, and the leak unfortunately started right after I think it was, whatever, the last payment. So the notice came, I think, 2 months after the fact. Since I got the notice, I told my husband, better run over to the building. And we checked all the toilets and we found the culprit. It was a running toilet that,
So that, it was in your house?
no, this is a, you know, right over here on Water Street. It's a mixed-use commercial building.
Oh, okay.
So.
Oh, right,
All right,
okay.
so was it,
It's pulled it like down a little bit. Sorry.
oh, I hate.
It's okay,
Right.
sorry.
So it's a mixed-use property, and it was in one of the apartments. And we do a yearly check on all of our appliances and toilets to try and prevent these things, but sometimes they happen, so. So obviously we had a big spike of use from
So-
one toilet.
Do you have a policy with your tenants as to who's responsible for this sort of thing?
No.
Or is it, no, it's
No.
just. So they
I don't
use, they
even-
use it, but you're sort of responsible for it.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I really don't even, it was one of those silent leaks. It was inside the gut, so it was kind of, the leak was inside the toilet. You couldn't have heard it. You would have to probably put the dye in it to see the water going out type of
Right.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like in the grand scheme of things, it was a fairly small
Over a
overage.
long period of time.
And the leak has been fixed?
Oh, yeah. Right away.
Is there any way, to work something out with the tenant on paying the bill
I don't-
through your lease terms?
No, because I don't have anything in my lease terms saying that the toilet is your responsibility and the water, because their water is included in their rent. Water, heat, it's not in the lease. And I'm a real estate agent and property manager, and I've never done a lease with anything about being responsible for the internal guts on a toilet unless it's a commercial, retail type where they're responsible for everything inside, but for apartments,
Well,
it's
with the
different.
new water and sewer rates, maybe it'd be worth taking another look at that.
Yeah, I think, I will be going forward.
I mean, again, as we said to the first requesters, everything from the meter in is your responsibility. And especially if it's an occupied unit, unless,
All right.
we might as well just abate everybody who has a high bill.
All right, then
because
that's
I would
fine.
suggest writing something into the leases going forward.
That's fine, but you guys had said that we could, debate it basically with you to see if we could, so that's why I'm here and spent my time here.
Oh, yeah,
But
there's
if I
always
knew
an
that was
opportunity
the,
to
if I knew
listen.
it was inside out with the responsibilities, then I wouldn't have wasted everybody's time on this.
Well, you're not wasting anybody's time, well, maybe your own, but certainly not ours. And it's worth having us listen to it, because there may, but, the policy is everything inside the system is your responsibility, and then if there's a catastrophic event, like somebody's not there, like if the unit, the tenant unit was vacant,
It wouldn't have
Then
made
we
a
could
difference. I
probably
wouldn't have
see our
found out
way
until I got the
towards
bill.
doing that, but it doesn't appear but this is the case.
I do have a suggestion. I don't know if this is something that the town is thinking about doing, because it probably would be costly. But is there any way that we can get monthly water bills instead of quarterly so that we can monitor it more tightly?
Well, the two responses to that. One is we have software capabilities where if there's high usage, the water clerk gets a notification like,
How-
almost immediately. And then,
But we
They-
didn't get notified immediately, so there's a gap there.
because usually they send that out pretty quickly. And then this, it doesn't indicate that anything was sent out.
It was sent out on
It
December
just so
the
happened,
11th.
like, I got the letter right around the same time as I got the water bill.
Oh.
But it looked like that leak had been going on for a while when I was looking at the water bill, because you can see the spike in it.
Yeah, we don't have that, the chart
No.
on this one, so.
I'm not seeing a big jump.
And the other issue, and I'll let Molly speak in a minute, but the other issue is it would be very expensive. We're going through a transition on our software right now for billing.
Yeah.
And to go from quarterly to monthly would
'Cause
be.
you have to have a
we-
meeting
One,
guideline.
we just don't have the staff for that. And so we tried to do the best we can and just ask that people really just pay more attention, but I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, I know that this has been a conversation about self-monitoring and, you
Yes.
know, and how many people would actually do it and pay attention, and would that be something that's worth investing in terms of our own software capacity?
Yes.
And that's, you know, it's an interesting proposal that you bring up, because maybe people would be more willing than we sort of anecdotally think that they would be. Just based on the two people who were here before, who are saying, you know, now we're digging around our basement with flashlights to make sure there's no leaking, and you saying, you know, it would help you, especially if you are not in the units all the time, to monitor.
And it's really hard in residential, you don't want to go in there every month and look at their
Right.
toilets, because you don't want
Yeah.
to disturb them.
Yeah,
But
totally
it's
get
like
it.
So, especially with the chlorine, you know, the rubber pieces, they rot out, I mean, they don't last forever, and until you get that high water bill, you realize you have a leak, it's just hard to, I mean, we had replaced all the toilets when we purchased the property. Probably should do it again soon, I mean, that was like 10 years ago, or at least we replaced the internal parts a lot, because they go from just the chlorine doing it, it does what it does.
Yeah, but it's also an interesting,
I will follow up with the billing folks. I know we've tried to get earlier notifications, especially in the last year where bills are naturally going higher.
I just
but-
had another idea. So I could probably call up the water department monthly and say, hey, what's my water usage this month? And if it's above average, then I would be an indicator.
I mean, if, as a commercial landlord, that might not be a bad idea. I would email them. That's probably a better way.
Yeah, that's
Because if
probably
you
what
called
I'll do.
them, you may have to leave a message, because, I mean, again, we're somewhat understaffed out there, and between the new facilities being put on board, and they're doing some construction and
Mm-hmm.
all that, but I think an email would get probably quicker response,
Yep.
because it's more of a written record type of
Yeah,
thing.
I have before we close this hearing and before we make our final decision on this, I mean, I'm just interested in the lapse of time between when the leak started to happen and the billing. Or not the billing,
letter.
the notification, because you're right, you know, if there's not puddles of water that the tenants should have been reporting to you, or you're not there to monitor it all the time, like, how would she know, you know? And so if the town didn't send you a timely notification, how can you then be responsive if you just don't know? So if we don't have that information yet, I would be interested in getting it when she was notified, and when, you know, between
Well-
when,
But she was notified on December the 11th.
and when did the leaks
And
start?
Well, yeah, unfortunately, billing period was to the end of, or the 18th of December.
Right.
So it appears like the leak happened
December, yeah.
toward the end of the billing period.
Yeah.
Which is just bad luck.
It
Well,
was
you
a
can see that
$500 increase.
the monthly usage in November was higher than December.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So therefore, the letter didn't go
Looks
out
like-
soon
yeah.
enough, right?
Yeah, I mean,
It happened a while ago, so I don't really remember.
it does sort of sting, but the good news is, going back even to all of last year, I mean, you average around 20 to 23,000 gallons. The usage in November was 29. So that's, yeah, it's a 25% increase, but it looks like it was caught pretty quickly. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, with other people and other requests, you're in pretty good shape. I know that doesn't make you feel really good, but you were responsible and found it and fixed the leak, and I think in the absence of, and again, believe me, we've been working with our financial folks on updating this. Our first focus was the tax part of the software, because there's 6,000 of those bills, and there are only 3,500 of the water bills. And obviously, that's the general revenue generator for the town. And so the water billing and sewer billing is sort of lagged behind, but they're working on that the first quarter of this year. So hopefully, by the middle of the year, there'll be better notification capabilities. At one point, there was talk of maybe being able to go online and see what your usage was, but that module is way too expensive for us to be hanging out there. So your idea about emailing them,
Yeah, I'll
It's
I'll
not a
email
bad one.
Desiree, she's.
because if we don't
really
have the
good.
capabilities to notify you, then you should take it upon yourself, if you care, to,
Yeah, I
to
do
check that.
care, because that is only one toilet and I've got 8. So that could be pretty bad.
yeah, like I say, unfortunately, it doesn't really meet our policy criteria, but we do hear your concerns, and we'll pass those along to the billing folks and see if there's some improvements that can be made on our end.
All right, thank you.
So I will move to deny the abatement request.
I'll second.
24 Water Street. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
All right, so which ones do we still have?
So we'll start at the top. We'll go back up to the top since it
Cass.
was here. So we'll go to 5 Cass. I'm sorry, not 5 Cass, 42 Hampton Falls Road,
Oh,
which is the next, or the first one on the list, the one that was
oh, I was.
put in
42,
December.
Yeah.
I think she brings up a really good point, and
Yeah.
it would probably be worthwhile trying to come up with some sort of,
Yeah.
again, they're just so short-staffed over there. They're doing a lot of other things, and to break off and check 3,500 accounts on a weekly basis, I mean,
It would be-
realistically, you'd hire somebody new to do that.
Even on-
and
yeah.
I doubt that happens.
Even on a monthly basis, it'd be,
Right. Right.
But, so when they see a high usage, then they notify people. So how often, how does that work timing wise?
it's automatic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't know the actual logistics, but one of either Desiree Murphy or Shirley Murphy, one of them gets a ping if there's high usage, and then they can go into the system and see whose it is and how much it is, and then it generates a letter and fills in all the numbers as what the usage is, and they send it out. So it's usually, I mean, again, within the limits of their ability to do that and their other work, it gets sent out, I think, fairly
Yeah,
quickly.
I did notice that in the notification, they did calculate, they're now calculating what the bill will be due to the high usage, which was a
That's nice.
suggestion we made.
Yeah, and they said this
So-
is not a bill, this is just what it's
Right,
going to be. It's like
exactly.
when you get a health insurance thing. this
Yeah,
is-
the reason, the reason for that, it used to just say what the usage was, and they had, it just had, well, your usage is high, it went from this to this. They have no idea how much that's costing them, and all of that. So now they actually calculate how much change in the bill there's gonna be, so it doesn't, so they know, they get on it right away.
That's
It used to get
cool.
ignored a lot,
Yeah, I remember they used to get ignored more.
yeah.
Okay, so 42 Hampton Falls Road. So property owner noticed the high usage and noticed that it was due to a leaking toilet. Our guy Ed Bugby went out there, checked it out. 6 days of high usage. In the absence of any detailed information, it looks like there's no extenuating circumstances, except for the fact that he's retired. Any discussion here? It looks like he's had high usage before. In June of 19, he had quite a
Yeah,
spike.
that's a big spike. Yeah.
And then it was up again in November. I'm not sure, there's no discussion as to why that might be. If there was another leak and they just didn't know it. But it looks like it was I mean, there was a leak and they fixed it. But, sort of in keeping with, unless somebody has I would move to deny this, this request as well.
I second.
Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next one is 11 Drinkwater. I'm sorry, 24 Prentice Way, my bad, I'm reading two different lists.
Sorry.
Okay, single-family home, high usage, unknowingly left a hose on while he was away.
I mean, this seems like the case where you abate the sewer.
Sewer.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I would agree. So, let's see, sewer portion is $248.59. Is that,
Looks right.
consensus? Is that what?
Yep.
Yep.
Good. I will move to abate the sewer portion of a hose being left on $248.59 for 24 Prentice Way.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay. So 124 Front Street.
I mean, this falls into the category of the guy was away. And the tenant didn't notify.
Wow. I think there should be the real estate folks in town should advise landlords to rewrite some of their leases.
Yeah.
I know.
And to include
Rates.
utility overcharges.
But they sent 2 notices in September. And then they didn't apply for an abatement until January.
even got a shut-off notice,
Yeah,
so
Right.
obviously had a couple of high bills as well.
Right. Yeah, so who got the shut-off notice? The owner,
probably.
the landowner?
Do we have did the usage drop?
So it's a leaky faucet associated with the tub.
If you look at the usage record, there's only 1 month, well, it's a quarter, no, never mind, it's a quarter, never mind. It's a September bill.
Right.
Right. And they did fix it. I mean, I don't know if the landlord being in town would have changed the,
Well, it was
The
the tenant,
result?
the tenant that was out of town.
I'm sorry, the tenant being there would possibly have changed the result? Possibly. I would be inclined to, given the magnitude of the bill, I would be inclined to go that route. Give them the one-time, because this is for water and sewer.
Yeah,
So the one-time $500 abatement on the bill.
yeah. They can't have another one for 10 years. I hope they realize that.
Well, I don't know if they do, but. I will make the motion to abate up to the $500 maximum, one-time in 10-year abatement for 124 Front Street.
Somebody else want a second? I'm doing all
I'll
the
second, sure.
seconding.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you.
Which one's next?
Next would be 159 Court Street.
Oh, boy. They had left a hose on for a few days, and they also had a leaky toilet.
Yeah, both.
Yeah, surprisingly, it's not, it's not higher.
Yeah. You see some of these leaky toilets and they're thousands of dollars and you
Yeah.
get one like this. It's like, really? Because I guess it depends on the size of the leak.
Well, and yeah, if the flapper is out
Yeah.
and, or if it's just,
Yeah,
you know, it's just worn, then you never know. So part of part of the leak was, or the usage was inside, and part of it was outside.
Yeah.
We don't really know.
Well, we can compare. No, you can't. Never mind. You don't know when they did it, so.
Right.
Yeah, because it feels like she should have something off for the,
The hose.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I agree. And the question is, what do we allocate for that?
And we're not talking a lot of money. I mean,
Right.
I'm open to going ahead and taking the sewer portion off, the excess sewer portion off of all.
The 9104?
Yeah, I mean,
I would agree. I mean,
can't be very much of it going into.
at this
the
point,
toilet.
it's splitting hairs, and we don't know the information, so we want to give them.
So, all right, I'll make
Some-
I'll make a motion that we abate $91.04 for the sewer portion.
Okay, I'll second that.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
I mean, and probably the spike was for the hose,
Yeah.
and then they just happen to find.
Happen to find a
hole.
toilet, which may have
Save
not
the
leaked
money in
that
the long
much.
run.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that definitely saved the money. It's
Right,
How much?
hopefully,
Couldn't have been
right,
too much,
Right,
although it would have been more later, probably, it would have gotten worse.
exactly. So yes, hopefully it was a good thing.
Okay, yeah, I managed to shut off my. There we go.
Okay, rolling right along here. Next one is 5 Cass.
It's so funny, all of these are in different emails that you sent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I ended up spending time and just downloading them all into a file, so I wouldn't have to do that. 'Cause it was, some of the
All in
the
one
background
folder,
data
yeah.
exceeded the 25 meg.
Sure.
It was nuts.
2 leaky toilets. Oh, boy.
I think, yeah, I'm gonna make a note that in the next, either in the bills or in the water report that gets sent out, I'm gonna have them put some sort of note about checking. There's people checking their systems because, and also probably relaying to them in general what the policy is, that if, you have a leaky toilet, that unless it happened when you were away and you can prove that, and then you fix it, then you're not gonna get an abatement. So we should be giving people a heads up, because obviously for years, people didn't know.
Right. I mean, I think that this is that situation.
Right. I mean, it doesn't say that they were away. It looks pretty straightforward. No extenuating circumstances.
January 21st. Oh, wait a minute, wait, what? Okay,
So this is a trust, and it's a 2-family home.
I think it's a landlord situation, it looks like.
So the trust in Rochester owns a building and then leases both of them out?
I mean,
We don't know.
we don't know.
okay.
I mean, it's still their responsibility, but
Right.
What's confusing me is the high usage notice is dated January 21st. And the application date is January 13th. Something's not adding up there. Maybe it's just incorrectly putting the date in on the abatement report, but, January 13th. So they're asking for an abatement before they get the high usage notice? Maybe it's
well,
just,
maybe they did like what that woman suggested. She actually called them up too.
yeah,
Because they did have a high read in December,
okay.
and Ed did the leak
And just
check.
didn't, it wasn't enough to trigger it.
Well-
It was not a spike, it was being leaky toilets, it was
Well, they got a high usage letter in December.
oh, they got one in December too?
Yes.
Okay, I just saw that one in,
So probably what happened is it just took them a while to put in the abatement request in January. And then
Okay.
But then in
because
January,
it was
the-
still,
they got
It's
another
still
one in
on.
they got
January.
another one in January.
Huh.
And then in mid-February, he did
Another one.
another leak test, and they had, according to them, they fixed it.
Okay. Yeah, there's a spike, okay, I see now, there's a spike from October to November. I don't see the February numbers, but probably.
Yeah, that's weird. Because they said they fixed it after January.
Oh, so, it's- I mean, it's, okay. Oh, it's the application date, okay.
So what is, so it says, checked apartment toilet for problems on January 11th. They had gotten a high usage notice
December.
on December 11th, and Ed did the leak test. And then according to a representative of the Mann Family Trust, they checked it, and it says fixed toilet. Unfortunately, we had no idea. Well, it does not indicate that either of the units was vacant. Is that,
It doesn't
I
say.
haven't read that. So. So they got a notice. And they did everything, they checked it out and they fixed it. Again, sort of a lesson learned. I would move to deny this abatement request.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Do we have the drink water abatement one?
We just did that, didn't we? No.
I think that's
Yeah,
the next
11
one.
drink water, that would be next.
Yeah, okay.
They sent, Shirley sent me some info today, which I have to open up and read.
Oh,
See what they.
that word file, it looks like more of the same. That was on drink water or?
Yeah, 11 drink water.
They declined a leak check. I mean, it's so small.
They were away most of the summer, yet they filled their pool.
No, they're away on the weekends.
On the weekends.
And I looked at the date and it was a Saturday, the
I don't know. I feel like if you decline a leak check,
Yeah, you're somewhat irresponsible.
well, but it's like, then how do we know anything?
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, I thought that was weird.
Yeah. And I'm sure it was just not convenient if it was on a, on
Yeah.
a weekend.
Yeah, they're
or-
going away.
Yeah, they were gonna be out of town when they could do it, or, yeah.
Which is a bummer, but it's also
Yeah.
not a lot of money. I mean, it looks like the most we could abate here that they're recommending is $74.49.
All right, so they sent
Yeah.
this came in from Public Works, I think, yesterday or today, to me. The property owners wrote to them, said, we have a pool which we purchased new in 2014.
Is that the same one?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a separate letter.
Oh, yeah,
not-
yeah, okay,
not part
yeah,
of what-
I've got it.
I don't think
Yeah, I was copied on it.
you were okay.
I don't know if you were or not, if everyone was or
The
not.
pool holds about 7,600 gallons of water, and we have never had to completely drain it since we purchased it. We backwash it, refill the pool at the beginning of the summer season. No significant water usage changes have occurred in 2019. Water bills in August, or the third quarter, were for almost 17,000 gallons, which in the prior year was around 10,000 gallons. The meter was checked. So the homeowner communicated to our technician that they had no water leaks in the house. They didn't submit to a water leak test.
Yeah.
So they verbally indicated they had no leaks. Using what criteria, we don't know. We do know that our neighbor, who recently purchased a property, was using a backhoe in the summer of 2019 to clear his land behind his pool, where there is a main located and near the fence behind our garage where the sewer from our property
All
leads.
before the meter anyway, so if it's hitting the main, it's not, I don't know.
The town has a right-of-way in the location behind our property and through the area that he cleared where a main is located. Is it possible something could have damaged? If you damage a main, you're gonna have a lot more usage than 10,000 gallons.
Yeah, and, well, if it's the main, it's on the wrong side of the meter anyway, right? I mean, I would think. So,
And it like went up quickly and then it went back down again
yeah,
in September.
I just wonder. Is it possible their pool had a leak and they fixed it and filled it up again?
didn't
Having
indicate
had a
that?
pool with, no, we did not, but having had a pool with a leak in it in my past,
Yes,
you know,
ditto.
it can empty out in a hurry when you're not.
Although it would appear, based on the numbers, well, they said their pool is about 7,600 gallons, but yeah, depending on where the leak might be.
Or did they, have a leak and fill it up thinking it was evaporation and,
Well,
yeah, I don't know.
it probably wouldn't evaporate that much.
Well, no, I know, they were thinking maybe
Oh.
it was due to evaporation.
Oh, and that
But
they,
they were really replacing leaking water.
well,
These are all speculation, I know, I'm just trying to
But it
figure
is-
out.
it's-
But like you say, the amount of money they're talking about,
and they have
is
two
the financial
spike,
burden on them?
they have two spike situations. So clearly something happened.
Something happened.
And then it went back to normal.
Yes.
Which would lead you to believe that it was usage of some sort.
Right.
Like impactful usage, like filling up a pool.
Right,
The fact that they have a pool, and they don't really explain, they went through the math in that letter about how they don't think that it could be that much, but, I mean,
yeah, and why did it take them almost twice as much to fill it up this year than last year?
those kind of things happen.
Yeah,
But I guess I could see my way towards abating the sewer portion.
because it's for a pool.
Since it's related to the
We
pool.
think it's related to the
But
pool,
since
I mean, we
it's-
don't really know.
We don't,
And
but
it's
We're talking
weird.
about a difference of less than $1.
The spike, the two spikes happened.
I don't know how that doesn't make any sense to me either.
The two
Oh, no,
spikes-
they put the sewer, no, both of these are for the sewer portion. I just realized that. This calculation is both for the sewer portion.
The two spikes happened a week between each other on a weekend, and they go away every weekend. I looked at when, like, the really high number was
way
the
too cool to
21st,
me.
and that's a Saturday. And the week before that is when the first high thing happened, and it's weird.
It sounds like it's a slow leak and,
Yeah, but why does it go down during the week when they come back?
oh,
It went up on like a Saturday, and then it went
they're
down.
not, supposedly not there on
When they're not
Saturday.
there. And
When
then
they're
it
not
went
there.
down all week. It went down while they were there, and then they went away, and then it was up again.
Maybe there's the phantom,
Well, maybe they
Flower
forgot that
water.
forgot that they had asked a neighborhood kid to
To fill it up.
fill the pool.
Yeah.
Or,
right?
or maybe the neighborhood kid is enjoying the pool and
Right. I mean,
and is slip and slide at the same time, I don't.
I think it's very curious to decline a leak check
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then ask for an abatement.
yeah.
it's,
Because, I mean, there's no way to point to say, yes, it was the pool, so of course it makes sense to abate the portion that
sewer.
didn't go into the sewer.
yeah.
Yeah.
So do we want to table this with
I'd be fine
with the recommendation that they submit to a leak test?
But I think it's fixed
But,
now.
but it's,
You're not gonna learn anything now.
well, it's obviously the
leaking now.
usage has gone back to their normal usage, so I think they're probably right, there isn't a leak, it
Yeah.
seems like it's related to the pool.
Yeah, I think, I'm for.
Although there
tabling
was
it,
something
see
in
what it
the
looked
end
like
of
at the
this.
end of the summer, whenever they filled their pool again.
That's just asking for trouble, I feel like.
Don't know. I mean, it's $75.
I know, I mean, I think if it were a significant amount of money, I would be much more inclined to reach out and work with them, but I don't know.
I mean, I don't think it's worth their time to do this, nor is it worth our time to do
I
this.
agree.
I mean,
And does it get, like, in terms of filling out paperwork, I guess I've never investigated this, because I've never been so puzzled over why somebody would apply for an abatement. Like, do they have to do anything? Or does our staff
Well,
say, do you want
I'm
to?
sure they're asking for
Yes.
a much bigger portion. This is only the sewer portion of
I
of
see,
the
but
above
they're-
average.
Yeah,
And, they're thinking, oh, and the rates went up, so it looks like a bigger bill.
right, sure.
$462 is a pretty big water bill. But,
It is, right.
yeah.
I don't know, I'm puzzled.
But they average having a pretty high water bill
Well,
evidently.
you're, right, yeah, that is interesting, because usually Public Works tells us what a full abatement
Yeah.
is, so that would lead me to believe that, I mean, if you look at their usage, the usage graph, their usage is pretty consistent from the summer through
Yeah,
October,
yeah. With those two
except for
spikes.
those anomalies, so
Yeah,
it seems to me
Oh.
that any issues related to water usage were based on use of the pool.
Certainly looks like it.
does look like it.
And if that's the case,
Then can we abate the sewer?
let's just abate the sewer portion and call it a day. I mean, it
Okay,
doesn't seem
that's
like
fine,
it's
that's
worth,
fine.
They'll go away.
well, I don't know if they'll go away, but
We don't have to look at it again. If we table it, we have
We're
to
not
look at it
gonna, we're not
again.
gonna agree,
true.
well, I was just suggesting we go and do it, but there's no sense in doing a leak test now, Kelly is right.
Yeah.
All right, so I am going to move and be, yeah, why
Why did they do that?
is it 50 cents, 55
Did not make sense
cents
to me at all.
different?
I know,
The sewer portion of the bill would be $73.94
Yeah. They just-
if
yeah.
they wish to grant the sewer portion for the excess based on the high use. Oh, okay, it's the difference between the high usage and the average usage. I mean, I'm not gonna, I'm gonna just call it the 74.49. I'm not sure really what the difference is. So that's what I'm gonna move, that our interpretation is that it's related to pool usage, which would not impact the sewer, so we would abate that. Do I hear a second?
No, second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So then the last one is 26 Union.
Which one?
computer's gonna die, I have them on my phone.
Several leaks, looks like, going back into May.
Looks like they've worked out a payment plan.
Yeah, we all, I'll add that to my list. I mean, they shouldn't, not fix leaks when they know they're there.
Yeah, so they couldn't afford to have the toilets done?
Yeah, they knew there was a leak.
Huh. She did the dye test, but the plumber said that they were leaking. So the stepfather fixed them. How could the dye test not show a leak?
Maybe she did the dye test wrong.
Maybe. Apparently, had to have. I don't know how it would not show a leak if there was one. Put the dye in and then flushed it? I mean, I don't know.
All right, so that she is on a payment plan, which is great.
Wow. This hourly consumption chart.
Yeah, unfortunately,
It's
this
weird.
went on for quite a while. I mean, at some point, you turn off the water to your toilet.
Yeah, or why don't you just do that anyway? When you
I mean, I
turn
really
it on,
hate-
flush it, turn it off.
I really hate to be a nudge, but I mean, this is clearly, I mean, there was a problem, she knew it was a problem.
Yeah.
She did the best she could under the circumstances. We're giving her a payment plan, but beyond the $500 maximum, I don't think there's anything we can do.
Well,
And that would be purely
it's just,
to be nice.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that would be total charity is what it would be. Because she definitely is at fault.
Yeah, I would say since she's on a payment plan, we, maybe send a note to extend that for whatever is reasonable for them, to give her as much latitude to pay it as possible.
Well, it already says he's from the, oops,
It can't, I mean, I just don't think that,
from the utility billing notes, as of February, they're doing $200 monthly payments.
yeah, I mean, that's great.
That sounds,
I mean,
I
it
think
might
that's,
take them a
I think
year
that's
and a half
working with
or
her.
a couple
Yeah.
of years.
May
but
take her a while to pay it off, but
she should keep track of her toilet, so I'm gonna move that we deny this request based on the fact that it does not meet our policy criteria.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Thank you.
And everybody wash
We've
your
done all the
hands.
rest of them.
Yeah, right. I have a couple more items in the
Okay.
agenda,
Oh.
just really quick.
So that is all this abatement
Yeah.
request.
That is all the abatements, yes.
Somebody somebody that we know, not who we have seen, was just diagnosed with COVID-19.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So a couple of housekeeping items on the utility operations report as a follow-up on the deduct meters that we talked about at the last meeting. Right now, they are approved for use by residential users only for irrigation and pool use and things like that. And the town Public Works is suggesting that this be expanded to commercial and industrial as well. They have gotten some requests from Lindt Chocolate in particular, and anticipate that the hospital and maybe portions of PEA would also benefit from a deduct meter that, for cooling and things like that. I think that's a good idea.
So they would like offer that as an option to the.
Yeah, that if you wanted to pay to put in a meter and have a separate line for cooling towers and things like that.
They have to
or-
pay for maintenance of the meter,
Yeah, they
too.
would have to do all, everything according, there's a guideline that the town would give them, but that they would, that portion of their water usage would not be subject to a sewer charge. So I would recommend that, and if, hearing no adverse reaction, I would move that we recommend to the Public Works Department to implement that program.
I second. Or
Okay.
somebody else can move and I'll second.
I guess I typically don't move things here.
Right.
So
And
somebody
that's,
else.
and that's
yes.
fine.
Is that me?
No, it's me.
Okay. I thought I'd shut mine down. So.
And then, just to follow up, no action needed, but on, we also spoke last time about impact fees. There was a section in the budget request this fall from the town manager to update our water and sewer impact fees. They've been looked at about 13, 14 years ago, but they haven't really changed for probably over 20 years, back well into the 90s, so over 25 years. The impact fees are basically a compilation of all the capital projects that are done by the town and then divided out by 1,000 gallons, so that when a residence or a commercial operation comes in for a building permit, that they, based on the state criteria for usage, they would pay a fee for, basically, to bring them up to a level playing field for all the people who have lived in town all that time and been paying rates all that time for that infrastructure. And it only goes back so far. It only goes back as far as the note was paid. So for instance, the new wastewater plant, the new groundwater plant, some of the utility projects in town, the work we just did at the water plant, the surface water plant for the TTHMs, those kind of capital projects, if you move into town, you would be paying a portion of those, just as part of being a team player. And then you would pay your rates going forward. So the impact fees are basically to recoup capital costs from previous activities that you are getting a benefit now by moving into town or starting your business in town. So Carl and I, Matt and Carl's gonna take a stab at putting together a pro forma for that, using some data that we've had in the past and information that we were getting him on notes and bonds that we have outstanding on facilities. And hopefully within the next 6 months or so, maybe sooner, we'll have a suggestion to the select board, not necessarily to meet the numbers that come out of the spreadsheet, because again, development is going along quite nicely right now with the TIF district. So we don't want to stifle that, but if you haven't changed your rates in 30 years, it's probably worth taking a look at them. So that's what we're gonna be doing. So that is ongoing. You all got a chance to look at the financial reports. As I know Molly knows from being part of the budget process, but last November, the town manager has received a notice from the state that we could save several $1 million on our wastewater treatment plant bond if we started prepaying the note early, a year early. So we are paying this year, and then we're prepaying $7 million that was going to be paid in 2021. We're paying it next year. So our, again, the money that we have saved in a little savings account in our reserves for the last 2 years will be basically gone by this time next year. So there's a possibility we'll need to relook at the rates, but this was felt as a short-term or a long-term benefit for some short-term pain. And so that's what we're doing. I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but it was several $1 million that we're gonna save. I think in the past, Carl, you had asked about a tour of the new wastewater plant.
A long time ago, yes.
And I talked
When you
to,
first
I've talked to Matt Berube, our water and sewer managing engineer, he said they're trying to finalize, some projects on site, you know, just little things. And he anticipates in May that, there'll be a large, you know, a contingent and an official ribbon cutting, for the facility at that time.
Okay.
But he felt that having people on the site when there are still piles of dirt and equipment and torn up areas was probably not the best.
You know, I,
Considering we spent
my
50
experience is in the hazardous waste handling plant, so I'm
You're used
quite
to
okay with a
Piles
little
of dirt.
dirt on the ground.
You are, but I think the feeling was instead of giving tours to everybody who asked for it, that we would give
Yeah.
it once
No, that's fine.
and then go that
It is
way.
a
So
fascinating process and
It is,
plant.
it's something. So hopefully that'll happen in the next couple of months.
Okay.
Okay, so.
Well, one question I have
Sure.
also, during the river, whenever the EPA was telling us about, or excuse me.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Whenever the Department of Public Works was telling us about how they're trying to combine the stormwater and sewer permits, and that's with much stricter, I guess, I don't know, limits. One of the things they talked about was one of the ways to get the nitrogen down even further is to supplement with carbon, meaning like sugar or molasses or other food outside of human waste for outside of normal waste.
Interesting.
For the organisms. That's, I thought that was very interesting. Also sounds expensive, operating cost too.
Pour molasses down your toilet?
No, yeah, I don't think that they would actually put it down the toilet. I think they take care of it at the plant, but
I
yeah.
see. I was thinking like, are we all supposed to go out and,
Now
you know,
we
once a
check,
month, dump
we
a-
self-check for leaks and we're self-managing in the
you-
wastewater treatment process.
here's my
Every
monthly.
time, oh, just every time you go to the
Oh, yeah.
bathroom, take a Coke, make sure it's not diet. Take a real Coke and dump it down the.
A real Coke,
I
exactly.
was like, well, that's an interesting.
And oh yeah, by the way, your rates are gonna double. Not funny. I'm sorry, not
No, it's
funny.
not funny.
Oh, it's sad. Anyway, but that also is on the horizon, and everybody needs to kind of know that they are seriously looking at that. Hopefully that will get
Of being
delayed even
innovative,
further.
right.
Hopefully it's going to be delayed, but I haven't heard. Have you heard, has anybody heard that that's been delayed?
No, but if they're just going through comment period.
Right. Well, I think the comment
Well, the
period's over.
comment- I thought the
It
comment
ended on the
period-
6th, right?
Oh, I thought it was extended,
Oh, maybe it was. I mean, last I heard was.
but for only a little bit.
Are we talking about the nitrogen levels are still too high?
Yeah.
Well, for the whole Great Bay, not ours.
Okay.
But they
Yeah.
will be
What-
too
what
high
this
whenever
is-
they do it for the
This
whole
is a
Great Bay.
combined sewer overflow permit, you know, they're.
I think the comment period was
And so what they're looking to do is to combine the permitting process for those. And, which is after, we've been dealing with combined sewer overflows for years, so does Dover and Portsmouth and Newmarket and Durham. And essentially any old community, Manchester and Nashua as well, when sewers were built, combined for the drainage and for the sewers. And the problem with that is that a lot of nitrogen gets into the stormwater through and doesn't have anything to do with the sewer system.
Yeah, I live in
Yeah.
JD Hill.
Right, so if
So,
you get,
yeah.
if you get overflow from, let's say, a farm, and that picks up nitrogen from their applications of fertilizer, and then that makes its way to a drainage, and then makes its way over to the combined sewer, then we get dunned for that nitrogen loading to the river, even though the ratepayers
Had
of the
nothing
sewer
to do with
plant had nothing to do with it. So it's a very difficult issue to put a cost to and to regulate. So I think there'll be some pushback on that, I
I
would
hope there's
imagine.
lots of pushback.
Yeah. So. Okay, thank you all for your time. We will meet again in May. Gotta look at my schedule, but it'll probably be the second week in May. But I will send out a notice for that. Any other comments or questions, discussions?
I hope to have some sort of preliminary report meeting after May, not May, but the meeting after, whenever that is.
For the impact fees, excellent.
For the impact.
Well, we'll look forward to that.
Are we gonna stop getting letters in the mail about too much THMs in our water? When is that?
The hope was, according to Jennifer last fall, that everything should be good by the end of 19. So that, yes, that should happen. We have, the initial, the program went online, or the equipment went online in April of last year.
Yeah.
The first quarter or two, she said they were down significantly, but some of the other metering locations has to sort of wash out. So, I would imagine that we're in good shape. I haven't heard otherwise.
Good,
Is it a rolling average that gets reported, or is it?
Yeah.
So. they
Yeah,
still have-
so
you
it
have to
takes a
drop
while.
it.
That's why I was
And
checking
there
about
was
the timing.
one or two metering points, until the metering point meets the level, it stays on. So we've been changing metering points all around town, except for this one bad actor.
Yeah.
And we had to spend $1 million so that we could wash that one out. So just the anomalies of a 100-year-old system. Okay,
All right.
thank you very much. We'll adjourn until May.